Hello there and welcome. Come on into this demonstration of the Phillips mixer, mincer, shredder, liquidizer machine, known to friends and family and would-be cooks like myself. I love cooking. Sometimes I'm good, not all that good. As the Phillips kitchen helper, and I am going to stand back and help the expert in her field, Peggy Smith.
Hello there.
Peggy, do me a favor, honey. Demonstrate the machine, would you?
Yes, sure. Okay, out the box we have it here with a nice simple storage of the cord tucked away underneath there.
Hey, that held in firmly there too, didn't it?
Right, firmly locked and rotates as it works as well.
Right.
Okay, looking at the controls here, we have first speed, second speed, there's off, and then a pulse which you use with your blender.
So a clumsy-fingered O'Shaughnessy could work out quite easily?
Quite easily.
Great.
You have on the front here a diagram of all your different attachments and shows you what speed to work them at.
All right, fine. So let's go on an item which we'll put on top here, or...
First of all, then, we have the blender, which has a lid that comes off really nice and easily, and out of the lid will come the top of it as well.
Oils and goodies for mayonnaise.
That's right.
I noticed the high blades here. Tell us about that, Peggy. What would that...
That lifts the food up and nothing collects on the bottom.
Right, show us how it goes on.
That just clips straight on like that.
Great.
And in order to remove it, you press that button and lift straight up.
Thank you, ma'am.
To help you in your blender, you have on the end of the bowl scraper supplied with the mixer that turned up end, which just makes life a lot easier. That end for you to work with in the bowl, easy access in there.
All right, thank you.
Next, we have our attachment
Do you want to swing
for
this around
the
a bit?
whisk
Right.
and the dough hook and the stirrer. Right, the whisk will attach very, very easily. A diagram underneath there which shows you where to put your whisk. Clips in easily. When you want to take it out, press the button and out it comes.
Let's have a closer look at that, shall we? Just the simple press button mechanism here.
Very easy.
Operating the ins and outs here. Very
That's right.
clever. All right, honey, sorry
Okay,
to
now
disturb.
looking at it there, those clip onto here. So we put that in position just like that. You
Right.
see the flip up and easily press
So
down.
simple, so
Press
simple.
the button to lift it up, take it
Off
off.
she comes. All right, let me move these and you show us the next thing to go on with.
Next
it,
we
Peggy.
have the mincer, which fits on that part of the mincer in exactly the same way as we had with that. The actual mincer itself, we have two blades, the fine blade in there and the coarse blade. All fits together very easily and just clips in, pushed, turned and locked.
Amazing.
Down it goes. You have your tray for all your foodstuffs and the pusher to guide it down.
Hey, couldn't be
Okay?
easy.
So up it comes and off.
And away it comes, and you show us the next one.
Last of all, we have the slicer and shredder attachment, which that is the base. We have two blades here, which are very sharp, so don't cut your fingers.
Okay.
If you flip them, you will see that they are coarse and fine on the reverse side. That's the shredder and that's the slicer.
Right, so we put it on there.
Right, in order to fit it in position, press down firmly. You then take the lid, on it goes, and it locks nicely into position. If you look in the top of the lid there, you have two compartments, one for large vegetables and one for small vegetables. And then you have a stopper here, which you can just ease your vegetables down with so you don't cut your
And
fingers.
to use this blade, you simply repeat the
Yeah, you
procedure.
repeat it and just take it out.
All right, Peggy, and I think what would fascinate or interest the housewife most, it certainly does me, is the fact that this machine comes in one box, one package. You buy these appliances, it does all the four things in one go, as it were. You don't have to go down the street to the next shop to buy this, to buy that. It's all there, self-contained and available.
And easy to store as well. That sits nicely on your unit like that, and you have your attachments either above or below in cupboards.
All right, is this going to make a good chef of me? I mean, have you got a menu that could demonstrate how easily this machine is to use?
It'll certainly help you.
All right, what do we start with?
We'll start off with cream of carrot soup.
All right, pot on the stove, heat at low, and I'm ready for the butter when you are, Peggy.
Okay, you have supplied with your kitchen helper a recipe booklet which gives you the ingredients. So I'm going to hand straight over to Brian. You're going to take 30 grams of butter and put that into the pan to melt.
There you go.
And over here, I'd like you to tie up this bucagani, which consists of bay leaf, fresh thyme, and some parsley stalks.
Hand it
A
over.
piece of string.
Thank you.
In the kitchen helper, I have already got some of the carrots already sliced, but to show you how to do them, cut off the ends, put them into the machine. Turn off the machine as you never load it while the blade is turning. The potato, which is peeled, fits into there so we don't have to do any trimming. The onion you must cut off the root. In this case, we just need to cut in half, not into 4, and that can go into this side. Now there we have our vegetables all nice and finely sliced. We finished with the attachment, so we can take it off. Butter is melted in the pan,
ready and waiting for
sufficient to cover the base of the pan. So in the sliced vegetables can go. Use your scraper, it's nice and easy.
Goes the bucagani
can go in, and we have some salt and some freshly ground black pepper for a nice flavor. Lid on the pan, and that cooks slowly until they're soft for 20 minutes. Right, fine, our 20 minutes is up, so should we have a look at the vegetables?
Yes, why not?
There they are, nice and soft. So we can now take our stock, pour that in. We have 1.5 liters here. Now we're going to put the lid back on and let that simmer for half an hour. During that half an hour, you must taste your soup and adjust your seasoning. While that is simmering, you can prepare your croutons, which if you have a look in your recipe booklet, it'll tell you how to do them. So there they are, ready prepared. We'll set them aside. Over here, I have some cooked soup already, as we cannot put hot liquid into our blender. First of all, before we blend it, we've got to remove that bucagani. So we take some soup, into the blender it goes. Now we want to fill, as I say, about halfway up. You don't want to go too full here, so we can put it onto the kitchen helper, lid on, and away we go. When it's smooth, press your button, lift it off, lid off, pour it into your bowl, which is nice and convenient there. That goes back on for the next lot, ready to go. In here, in the meantime, we have some soup that once it has been blended, put back into the saucepan and brought up to the boil. Bring that over here. Now, we have to add to this some cream. Right, we have a boiling soup and we have a cold cream. We must add the hot to the cold.
Peggy, could you elaborate on that a tiny bit? Why must you do it that way?
If we put the cream directly in here, you're going to find it will oil the cream. So it is always hot to cold.
Right, fine.
We just put it in and stir it round. Just a spoonful is fine. Back into the soup.
Yeah.
Now that should be returned to the stove and brought up to the boil.
Shall I do it for you?
Okay. Right, back to the boil. In the meantime, over here for serving, we have got some finely snipped chives and some cream, which we can swirl into the soup to get a nice appearance. Okay? You can either serve directly into a soup tureen or into little individual bowls. So should we want to do that, we'll say that this is our soup tureen. You can take your cream, put that in the middle. It does tend to sink sometimes, but don't worry about it. You can just take your spoon, swirl it around a little bit like that, take your chives, sprinkle on, not too much, and that is now ready to serve together with your croutons.
Delicious. All right, that was pretty good. What follows now? What do we have next?
After this, we've now got to go and prepare our vegetable terrine.
You've got to prepare.
Yeah.
I'll help.
Okay.
All right, Peggy, now how do we prepare the vegetables for the terrine?
We'll start off with the beans. I have topped and tailed the beans. We then have the machine set up with the thick slicing blade, and we will feed the beans into that opening there as the machine is running.
One by one they go in?
One by one. Once you have sliced your beans, you change the blade to the thick shredder, and for that we will put the carrots in there, and that's what they look like when they come out. All together on the plate here, I have the broccoli, the beans, and the carrots ready to go in with the salmon filling.
Delicious.
Here we have our salmon filling. Salmon in the mincer, fitted with a fine mincing blade. We'll turn on the machine and push it through.
All right, there you go, there you go. Well done.
Right, that's it all through. Now you can take this end of your scraper and just clean your mincing blade.
Peggy, one question again about quantity. That's quoted in the recipe book all the time.
Yes, it's all there.
All the ingredients here are balanced and checked in that marvelous recipe book of ours.
That's right. Now we fit this attachment with the stirrer onto the machine. Push it down, turn it onto a low speed,
Right.
add the cream, add the eggs,
Yeah.
and now we can slowly increase our speed. Add the brandy,
There you go.
lemon juice,
Tabasco.
and for some flavor, some Tabasco, salt, and pepper. There we have it, all minced together and mixed with the stirrer, divided up into 4 equal portions. Take your salmon filling and layer it in your prepared tin with your vegetables, starting and ending with salmon.
Peggy, why exactly greaseproof paper? Sorry, as against wax, is there...
If you use the wax paper, that when it becomes wet tends to just disintegrate.
All right, one more question. Why the layering? Is it a taste thing or appearance?
It's more the appearance, so that at the end you see a nice even layer of salmon and then your vegetables
And obviously
in
you
between.
can, whatever order you like. Carrots on top, broccoli down below, beans
Yes,
in the middle.
depending
It's
on what your choice
sure.
of vegetables and what time of the year you have.
If you were to mix the whole lot up together and make a mush of it, it wouldn't look so nice?
It wouldn't look as effective when you slice it at all.
And the sort of the taste wouldn't be that good because you'd taste an altogether thing as against a grated thing, I think.
Yes.
Well, it looks delicious to me.
So when it goes, just try and
Right.
spread your filling. You do tend to think that there's
Right.
not enough filling to go around, but you find that the filling goes in between the vegetables slightly. So you don't get a very definite layer, but you do see your colouring there. Now, last of all, the broccoli. And you'll see here that I've just got the tops of the broccoli. It is better for colouring.
Sure. You're going to top that now with another, yes, here we go.
Last layer of salmon. And this is the one that you tend to think, gosh, there's not quite enough here.
I was going to make it. It's
enough.
there. Well done, well done. All right,
Now
shall I
you
move
s-
this to one side for you?
Right, we spread that over, and then we fold in the sides of the paper.
Right.
But we have the excess there. And over here, I have a wet double sheet of greaseproof paper.
Explain that to us. Why the wet?
The wet,
Paper?
it then seals on top when it goes into the oven with
It
the direct
clings
heat
to the,
of the oven.
to the body of the...
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to tie it. It will seal itself on the heat with the heat of the tin.
Right.
So we put it into the bain-marie. Here we have our preheated oven.
Don't know how much you're enjoying the program. I know I am. Peggy, I believe you've got a finished product to show us.
Right, over here then, you can see this one has been chilled. It baked for 1.5 hours. I cooled it down really nice and slowly and chilled it overnight in the fridge.
Yeah.
You can see how the paper does dry out and stick to the tin, so we'll just take that off. We will unfold. You can see it tends to stick to the salmon just a little bit. Right, that now, you can either
Turn
turn
this.
directly onto your serving dish or turn
Right.
it out onto your board. Remove your paper.
Nice and firm and stiff.
Now, if it was wax paper that you were using here, you would be sitting pulling off little
I'm sure,
strips of
digging away at
paper
it
all the time.
Right, do you want to put it in here so we
Right,
can...
now we've got to lift it really very carefully
All right.
onto there.
This you do on your own. I'm watching.
Right,
not
you want
helping.
a nice clean serving dish for that.
Yeah.
We'll put it down just there.
Peggy, what would you surround it with now? What would we do now?
Right, we are going to decorate this with sliced tomato and chopped parsley, which we will chop in the blender on the kitchen helper, and then put a nice fresh bunch of greenery on the side of the plate.
Folks, I think you'll agree this is a winner. It's beautiful.
Nice and quick and easy to make as well. To make the tomato vinaigrette, we have our tomatoes in the bottom, and we have fresh parsley and basil. We're going to chop that up. Right, once you've got it nice and smooth, remove the lid, and in there we'll put the vinegar and some nice Dijon mustard.
Peggy, how many people will this feed?
It'll feed 6 people. So will our whole meal.
In
Tomato
comfort?
paste. Yes, nice and comfortably. People
Without
with good
starving,
appetites. Some ground black pepper. And here we have the garlic crushed with the salt. And we'll use a little bit of sugar. That will be to taste, so we'll have to see what it is like in the end
Depending
before we
upon
add
how
some
sour
more.
the tomatoes are, perhaps?
That's
or-
right, yes. The acidity of the tomato, that's
Yeah.
what we want to see. So now we're going to blend it on a high speed, reduce the speed, and then start adding the oil.
Righto.
So there we have our tomato vinaigrette, and in
Here we
order
have
to
the
serve
finished product, right?
okay, there we have it in a sauce boat, and that goes with our terrine.
And there's our ensemble. Beautiful. So just a brief recap. We've had the soup, terrine. Now, what are we going to have now?
Baby chicken with mustard cream sauce.
You know, Peggy, I don't have a great appetite myself. I might go for an hors d'oeuvre and, shall we say, a main course. If I have people around, my wife and I would give maybe a 3-course meal. Now, here we have a 4-course meal in this menu. Are you not worried about overfeeding your guests?
Fine, you've got to plan really very carefully. You've got to think of your quantities, your combination, and you mustn't rush through your meal. You must take your time.
And it's a progression from one course to the other, each one complementing the other.
That's right.
With lots of wine in between, a good conversation. That helps. All right, now tell us how we go about this.
Right, to cook the chicken, you melt your 30 grams of butter, you clean your chickens, truss them, put a sprig of fresh rosemary in each one, you put them in the pan, pour over the wine, put in your crushed garlic with the salt.
Dry white wine?
Dry white wine, yes. And you sprinkle over some snipped bacon and freshly ground black pepper.
Right.
You cover and you let that cook for 30 to 40 minutes or until the juices run clear.
All right, so what exactly do we have over here then? Pigs?
In the
What's
saucepan here, we have our cooked chickens.
There we go. Would you like to take one out and show me, or show us rather, how you cut it up?
Right, so we'll remove the trussing strings. Turn it over, cut down on either side of the backbone, cut down the center of the breast, and then you are going to snip out the rib cage that is there. Now you'll see these chickens are a little bit pink inside, but you must bear in mind that we are going to grill them further. We don't want them dried out.
Oh, fine, so from there we end up with that finished product, am I right? Over there,
That
about to be
is
grilled.
correct,
Let me move
yes.
this for you. If you bring it over here, Peggy, we can have a look at it more closely.
Right,
All
once
right.
you have split your chickens, you put them onto your grilling rack. You brush them nice and generously with some mustard,
Yeah.
melted butter, and if you could open the oven for me,
With pleasure.
and we'll put them underneath
You
the
got it
grill.
ready there? There we are. A lot of nice heat coming out of that thing. There you go.
Right, in they go.
Close it up there. And now, Peggy, we just stand around and wait, do we?
Oh no, we've still got the filling and the sauce to make.
Of course. Go ahead, let's talk about the filling, shall we?
Right, here we have the sliced mushrooms, but before you slice them in your kitchen helper, you must remove the stem from the base and peel the mushroom. You then cut it to fit into your machine, and away you go. Over here, I have already minced in the mincer using the coarse blade, the bacon and the onion. There you can see the blade. You just switch on. Here we have what you end up with, and all we've got to do is sprinkle the parsley in there.
May I be allowed to do that?
Yes.
I hope it doesn't spoil things. Like that?
Right, and
The
then you
entire
can just,
contents of this, or could I
it
maybe
can all
overdo
go
it?
in,
All right, there we go. Mix it?
mix it around, and you set that aside for dishing.
All right. What about the sauce now, Pigs? Let me just stir this up a tiny bit. Tell us about the sauce while I
Right,
move this
over
away.
here in the saucepan, we have the strained juices from the cooking of the chicken, which should be free from fat.
Something's always puzzled me. How exactly do you clear it of fat? What do you do?
You can use a spoon to begin with, but the last little bit, you take a piece of kitchen paper and just draw it over the top like that.
Hey, there it goes.
Right, we add to that the stock and put it onto the stove and bring it up to the boil.
That'll take how long?
A couple of minutes.
Right.
Then over here, I have the slaked arrowroot. Move the pan from the heat. Put a little bit of hot to cold, like we did with the cream. Back into the pan, and now we must add a little bit of mustard and some seasoning. Take it back to the heat and cook it. Spread the mustard on the back of the spoon so that it doesn't go
I've
lumpy.
got a feeling you've done this before. Yeah?
Just makes it a little bit easier. Right, there you can stir it on the stove until boiling.
All right. Hey, isn't it time you looked at our chicken, Peggy?
Yes, I'll just take it out the oven.
Oh,
It smells delicious.
Listen to it. By the way, I've added the cream to the sauce the same way as you did for the soup, which is the hot to the cold. We have the filling, which we've put in the dish here. We have the courgette as prepared according to your recipe book. Peggy, my dear, it's yours all again. Off you go.
Right, we take our chickens and place them on the serving dish, breast uppermost, just going down the length on top of the mushrooms.
All right, next step.
Now we take our sauce and coat over. Nice big spoon, so that you're not dribbling sauce unnecessarily. You let it fall a little bit onto your mushrooms.
Starving.
And let it flood a little bit onto your serving dish. You could hand some separately if you wanted to, but I think we've got enough
Shall I
there.
move that out of the way for you?
Then we take our greenery. We've got it all tied together, ready. We'll put it onto the dish there.
Let's put them together like that.
And there we have our chicken.
Wonderful sight, yeah?
Now we add our corn flour. Now we just spread it. Don't try and form it into any pretty design. It's meant to look just nice and fluffy.
Be as artistic as you want to be or as you
That's
don't
right.
want to be. I've got a feeling you enjoy all this, you know?
It's fantastic.
Rewarding thing, being a cook.
Very much so. Right, that is now ready to go into the oven.
All right. You okay then?
Right, that will bake for about an hour and a half at 135 degrees C until you feel it nice and crisp on the outside and firm underneath. It is marshmallow-like in the inside, so be careful you don't break it.
I wonder how our meringue's getting on, Peggy.
It should be ready by now. Let's take a look. Looks nice and crispy.
Does indeed.
Right, so if it comes loose from the paper, it's firm underneath, so that's fine. Paper, just carefully peel it off.
Can I help you? Or
Don't
you
break
happy
your
on your own?
meringue. Now that must be set aside on a cake cooler to cool, and when it's cool, you put it onto your serving dish.
All right, maybe take this from you. Thank you. Ouch.
Over here, we have our fruit prepared. Go for a nice color in your fruit as it sets it off nicely.
Which, of
with
course,
the
you've done
white
here
meringue.
with the, yes, lovely.
In the bowl here, we have our cream ready whipped, and I have folded in the vanilla essence with the dough hooks. Take your cream and just put it onto your pavlova. Now you can see it is just holding its shape. It's not meant to be stiffly whisked at all. Spread that over just about to the edge of the meringue.
Right.
And then your fruit is going to sit nicely on top of that. So you see the meringue, you see the cream, and then the nice colorful fruit on top.
Very good.
Take a nice big spoon and spoon it on.
Oh, mouth-watering.
Must drain your fruit before you put it on.
You try not to let any fruit spill over the side. Of course, you want it.
It doesn't
Sand it up
matter
to the edges,
if it
yeah.
does. And when you serve this, you must serve it with a slicer and have a spoon as well. You can put the cream on before your dinner party, but the fruit must go on just before it goes to the table.
Would you perhaps have chilled your fruit at all?
Well chilled, nice refreshing dessert.
Marvelous. Well, there we are, and that's the end of your marvelous menu. Peggy, let me thank you, please, on behalf of our friends out there who've been watching you with as much fascination as I have. I certainly have been excited gastronomically, and I want to thank you for coming along. But you can't go yet. People, I think you have seen what a marvelous machine this is, the Phillips Kitchen Helper. It makes life in the kitchen so much easier, doesn't it? It's easy to use, it's simple, quick, economical. That's important today. But you know, one last word on the art of cooking, perhaps, if I may say it in Peggy's presence. A lot of meals and things are spoiled by the actual final presentation of the meal. How you set out your table, the fact that you might not have flowers in the middle when you should, the wrong wines are being presented. Peggy, should we go from here, next door? Will you join us, please? And show our friends how we feel the crowning glory should be put to this by setting out your table the right way. Do you want to join us?
Let's go.
Oh, Peggy, my dear, there you go. Now, we've told you how important table setting is. Here's Peggy to tell you about it while I go and pour some sherry.
It's often very confusing when you are confronted with all this cutlery and glasses in front of you. But just always remember, start on the extreme right, both with the cutlery and with the wine glasses. Here we have the soup spoon. Then for the terrine, we have the fish knife and fork. Main dish, large knife and fork. And to finish off with the pavlova, using the spoon and the fork, because we have the fruit. Should you be serving a meal that involves bread with your soup, you can either put your bread knife up at the top above the dessert fork or put it on the side of the plate there.
Peggy, you were talking about wine. The white wine on the outside, is it? And the red in?
That's right.
What about quantity? You told me about the vital quantity in a glass. You can't have too much.
It's always very bad to overfill a glass, and a lot of people tend to do it. You should never go further than about there, the red wine being just a little bit less, so that you're able to pick up the glass and swirl your
To give aroma and the bouquet. All right, let's look at what you've made for us. What shall we have with our soup, do you suggest?
We're going to start off with a nice dry sherry because of the sweetness of the carrots.
Right, now with the terrine.
I don't think we'll serve anything there.
Why?
Because we have the tomato vinaigrette, which will take away the lovely, delicate flavor of the wine.
Right, now that marvelous chicken dish, which is savory and wonderful, what shall we have with that?
I'd prefer a nice dry white wine, or you could serve a rosé or a blanc de noir.
Nice. There is one point that's always intrigued me. I mean, since wine culture began, we've always been told white wine with white meat, heavy red with heavy red meat. But these days, whatever wine, I think, activates your palate, informs your palate, as the French say, is allowable. Am I right?
Yes.
Fine. Now, with our sweet, our pavlova, shall we have something with that?
I'd like to finish that off with a nice, good French champagne.
Dry champagne. Well, thanks for coming along. Thanks for joining us on behalf of Phillips and the Phillips Kitchen Helper. May we meet again one day. And Peggy, my pleasure. Good health.